Hello there and welcome to another chess video. I'm Fidemaster Ingvar Jónsson. And before I show you this game, we have to preface this game by the fact that despite what's missed in this game, these are very strong players. These are both former world junior champions, players that I haven't beaten myself in a classical game. I've had winning positions, but I blew them. But you know, them missing stuff, you know, it happens to all of us. But the things that happened, you know, in this game were quite amazing. Some unbelievable variations and moves. But this was played at the Icelandic Chess Championship today, a tournament that I'm commenting on in Iceland. And with the white pieces we have Héðinn Steingrímsson, who is, I think, a 3-time Icelandic champion, 2 or 3 time. And with the black pieces we have Hannes Stefansson, who is a 13-time Icelandic champion. Both strong grandmasters. And Héðinn, with white, Steingrímsson, he opened up with d4. Now we're going to play the opening moves pretty fast. It was an Indian slash Ragozin here after d5. Actually, I think it's more of a Ragozin actually. And we have this variation here where black plays pretty aggressively with g5 early. Takes the bishop away, unpins the knight, importantly, which can become a factor, and plays h5. Bishop e5, and here he plays h4. And now this is relevant because 2 runs earlier, Stefansson had black as well in a very up and down game against Grandmaster Gretarsson, a game that he ended up losing, his only loss so far in the tournament. And before this round that we're looking at today, he was on 3 out of 4. But a very up and down game where he was, you know, at some stage winning, but ended up losing it. So in that game, he played knight e4. So he was expecting Steingrímsson perhaps to be well prepared, and he played pretty quickly in the opening. So Stefansson decided to mix things up and played h4. Bishop e5 looks reasonably forced. Stefansson castled. Now this is a risky variation because you've opened up, you know, your pawn shelter here on the king side. So it becomes a little bit about, you know, can white take advantage and open things up? Let's have a look. Knight e4, trying to put more pressure here on c3. Bishop goes back to h2. Bishop f5. Now we're threatening some evil things. So white plucks up the diagonal with bishop to d3. Rook e8, and very often in these lines, black tries to play actively, you know, use the pieces, get some active pieces and use them. Knight g to e2, and white is, well, according to computers, white is somewhat better, but he kind of starts playing some safe moves. I think, you know, the computer said knight f3, and this starts to add up. You know, white has the normal edge here, plays a3. Again, safe move, but probably a good move though, you know, stopping this. Rook a to d8, black is trying to play actively once again with the pieces. Knight b5, queen e7. And yeah, this was kind of the big decision. Do you know, go for it and put the king on the king side, or do queen side, or do you go for the king side? He went for the king side, and now we push the knight back. Queen c3. And I think it was here that white kind of lost most of his advantage. Computers say it's close to like +1 for white here. But f3 transformed the position, and this transformation is in black's favor. So now he takes on c3. And white takes with the pawn. And here is kind of the first cool tactic of the game. If you take with a knight, you're going to get hit with knight takes d4. Hitting the queen, and we can't take back because of this check, and then we pick up the bishop. So we have to take with the pawn, and this means we have a transformation in the pawn structure. There's a capture on d3 and queen takes d3. Now this is something that might arise from similar structure for white, which might arise from the Nimzo, the sameness variation or the f3 variation, where white has exactly this pawn formation, and with all his might he's trying to play e4. So this variation is basically about playing e4. Now compared to that variation, black has some, you know, different things, maybe some trumps, maybe some disadvantages. Generally his pawn is on c5 in those variations, which can be useful for pressure and options. And compared to that variation, his pawns are much more advanced, and that actually takes away a bunch of squares from the knight. So that can be a factor as well. So, you know, pros and cons. Game continued, knight a5. Perhaps it was best to just, well, not blunder the rook, but to start maybe some kind of tripling on the e file, try to put pressure on this weak point here. But first he went knight a5, rook e1, rook e6, knight c1, and now c5 active move. White kind of doesn't want to break up his pawns by going pawn takes c5. We're probably going to win the pawn back very easily, and then the structure is damaged. So white prefers to keep stuff on here. Hannes took on d4, Hannes Stephenson. Pawn takes and b5. So he wants the c4 square for the knight. And now we have some normal looking moves, and rook to e2. Now this is on move 29. And you know, time travel was starting to peak in. Hannes was using his time a lot more, well, a bit better, let's just say that. And the game continued, rook e7. Notice that you can't take this pawn because of knight c5, so that's probably why he took the rook away from the e6 square. Knight c5 nonetheless. And this is around these parts. White is kind of ready to play e4, and this is one of the ideas of the line. But he kind of shies away from it, and that could have cost him and should have cost him. So he played knight c5, which is probably fine. But now instead of, there's nothing wrong with e4. You have all your pieces ready to support e4. But he says, okay, one more waiting move, you know, let's keep everything protected. No risks. King h1. King g7. Okay, black waits. But this is actually an important move. And sometimes you don't know it is, but the king is just, you know, slightly closer to the action, protects the queen when we get an endgame in this closure, but it also opens up the 8th rank, which may or may not be important, and actually could have been. So here, queen b3. And this was the first opportunity for black to play a really cool tactic. White can probably defend with best play. He can probably defend and not lose. I mean, he's worse, but he needs to find some strong moves. And in time travel, it would have been really hard, instead of meeting the move queen d6, which black played, to meet the move g4. And this is a really cool tactic. The point is, if you take with a pawn, I will play h3, and I start undermining you. You can't take because the queen comes in, and now I can use the h file as well. So you can't really take with the h pawn, and if you take with the f pawn, can you see the point? Yeah, the point is we can take on e3. If white takes, we take again, followed up by this check here on f1 and another check on f4. And black ends up with a huge advantage. He's going to take on e3 with a knight, continued threats and better pieces, and probably game over. So white would have had to find some nice defensive moves. I think e4 is the best move, but how do you find the e4 here after g4? Let's see again here, you know, g4. You have like 4.5 minutes left. Are you going to find g4 here with everything being attacked? I don't know. So would have been, you know, would have been interesting to see. Instead, queen d6, and white played a4. Black took, and he takes with a knight. Now this is slightly in black's favor, because now this knight becomes sort of a bad piece on a4. And here I was really rooting for the move queen g3, and I was happy when I saw it. So he played queen g3. So one of the main points, and this is sort of where we start this immortal X-ray business. So I saw, you know, this happened, and when I was commenting, I saw, okay, he has an interesting threat. You know, let's say he plays knight c5, you know, brings the knight back or something. And we have this very cheeky move, knight d2. We can't take it because of this. And if they take on d5, can you see the point? Can you see it? That's a really cool tactic, by the way. So if this had happened, black would have had the stunning move, rook takes e3. And the idea is simply to use the x-ray. Once you take, we created the x-ray, the rook looks through the other rook, and we can take on e1. You have to take back, king h2, and now we play knight f1 check. And we actually pick up the queen here. And we have a super promising endgame. We're going to play a5. We have an outside passer, and we have the opportunity to attack the pawns when we have to, bring the king in. Very promising endgame, probably winning for black. The rule of thumb is if the king and pawn endgame is winning, the knight endgame is winning. So this was kind of, the first time when we saw this x-ray motif. So he played queen g3 and okay, I realized, okay, there are some dangers like queen, knight d2. So I thought, okay, safest move is probably queen c3. Just keeping an eye on e1, keeping everything intact. But clearly, Stinkerson with white hadn't seen what was going on because he played queen d3. And here, different circumstances, but Hannes misses a golden opportunity here. And this is truly beautiful, stunning tactic actually. So black could have won the game with knight takes e3. Okay, x-ray you say, but how can I use an x-ray here? I mean, white is going to take here, and if I take this guy, it's just going to be a check on the first rank, right? Yes, but wait for it. After rook takes e3, we play the absolutely stunning move, g4. And this wins material and the game. If you take the pawn, I'm going to take on e3. I'm winning material. I'm actually just winning all the material because you can't take back. I'm going to play rook e1 check next. If you take with the pawn, I'll play h3. And you're basically toast because I'm going to play rook h8 next and you have no defense. But wait a minute. I can take on e7. Then I can play the x-ray because I played the pawn to g4. We have this beautiful finish. Queen takes e1, rook takes, and g3 mate. And this is just unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable. So this would have made the rounds. That's a pretty spectacular tactic. But he didn't find it. Instead, he played g4. And, well, there's not much to do. I found one more, let's see if I can remember it. It was, I think, here, there, boom. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, okay, g4, f takes g4. He took on e3, okay. Yeah. There was maybe one chance. He played knight takes e3. If you want to play on like something like this, is very interesting because if you go here, and let's just say we don't find the move with white and we try to bring stuff back, and I think we can play it again here. Let's say knight b3. Yeah, I think that's the one. And then again we can play knight takes e3. And this is yet another version of the x-ray, because now if you take, I take this one, the x-ray. King has to go here, and there's no defense against the mate. You have to give up the queen, you have to take on f1, and it's completely lost. Play g3, I play here. So yet another x-ray. Not forced, but like an opportunity. Okay, instead, after f takes g4, Hannes took on e3. And king g1. And it was this position probably that I was thinking he should play rook e6 with this idea that we just looked at. Yeah, because here, 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 and let's say it doesn't find a move and plays this, we have the same tactic. Let's say he actually takes on e3 now. Yeah, this actually, this is the position that I wanted to look at on the previous move. Same thing. Okay, now I remember. Yeah, same tactic, and then rook to f1. This is actually more beautiful because the king is on g1, and we need the rook on f6 to cover the f2 flight square. But he didn't play knight c5. He played. He didn't play rook e6. He played queen f4. So I thought, okay, yet another, missed chance. And I thought, okay, he's clearly not seeing these x-rays. So he played queen f4. Fine. Game continues. Knight c5. And did he have? Let's see, knight c5. He played a5. Here again, I was trying to look for, some opportunities like knight takes g4 or stuff like that. It doesn't work, but later in the game, it was actually going to work. So after this, he played a5, which is fine. But now white blundered knight b3, and this gives white a losing position. If black finds another x-ray, this time with a knight. Knight takes g2 is the winning move. It's actually a little bit more complicated. The main line is if you take on e7, I take on e1. And we have an x-ray. White is going to lose. The tricky part was probably if he takes, we take twice on e2 and kill check on g3 and pick this one up. And it should be a winning endgame. Okay, there's always going to be some chances of a perpetual, but we pick up this one with check and then the knight. And with good winning chances, we have past a pawn and h pawn. Should be excellent winning chances. But okay, he didn't see that one. Knight b3. Game continues. a4. Both sides are in time trouble now. This is move 39. And move 40 for white, as often happens, knight e2 is a blunder. And yeah, to try knight c5. Knight c5 was a better choice, but knight e2, again, another version. Knight takes g2 probably still works, but now knight c2 is the strongest one. And the same thing applies. If you take this guy, I'm taking on e1 with the x-ray. Yet another x-ray. So, unfortunately for Hannes, he missed it and played a3. 40th move. And on the 41st move, I think Stinkerson realized that some things had been going on in time trouble, and he missed it. And he thought for a while and found the best move. And he played knight f4, which kind of forces black to finally find the opportunity to go for this x-ray, and he takes on g2. But this time around, it's not the same version. The knight is better placed. We're not going to check it off. But we are going to get the d pawn. So we have some trades and we take on d4. And we get an interesting endgame. I was kind of mostly interested in this game because of the x-ray themes, but let's just, for completeness sake, let's finish the game. I think black had one more opportunity after knight c2. King f2 or king f3 was probably the best move here. And he could have taken on c2. Simple tactic. After a2, he could have taken on c2 and then promoted and tried to advance this pawn. With some chances the queen is going to come back here. Some chances of giving a check and winning this pawn. But there's always the danger of a perpetual. In the end, he didn't find the way, and let's just play through the rest of the game. It didn't really. Nothing much really happened. White tried to get a perpetual, black tried to avoid it. Eventually he won this pawn. Black picked up the h3 pawn. And then in the end, okay, he had actually one more chance. This is probably the final chance. He played queen d6 check. Instead he should have played queen g3. And this is a little bit tricky because, and I have avoided talking about, the pure endgame without the queens. But okay, I guess we'll get to that. So queen g3 first was critical. Because if you go to d4, I can give you a check on e5. Or take the pawn with check even. Either one. And to have pawns on both sides, and the knight can't deal with that. So for the same reason you can't go to c3, queen e5 check. Trading queens, I'm winning. And if you go here, I'm going to give you this check. And again, if you go here, check and trade, same thing on the e-file, on e2 and e1, so you have to go to d1, and now I get the pawn with check. So this maybe he could have, you know, kept on playing for a win, but he missed it, and I think after queen d6, his chance has finally evaporated, and in the end he agreed to a draw here. Funny thing is, like, he touched the queen and moved it here, but then moved it back, and then fought for like 10-15 minutes, probably out of energy, and in the end of the draw, which his opponent accepted. Best move to take here. White takes this, and the most likely result is a draw, but I think black can still play it on. But a long game, and they were both tired, but what a titanic struggle, and what a bunch of legendary X-ray tactics that black missed, especially the one where he played, you know, allowed white to take, and then you just played g4 and it's game over. It's unbelievable. So I really enjoyed this game and the tactics. Hope you enjoyed them as well. And you're not going to miss an X-ray tactic in your next game. I'm sure that Hannes will not miss it the next time around. So thanks for watching. See you later. Bye bye.